Via la casa il safari.
The temperature dropped by almost 10 degrees in less than an hour, said Dr. Lucia Ferraro, a climatologist at Siena University in Rome. Social media quickly filmed the dramatic image. River for ice falling down, Villa di Corso lighting illumination, soon the Piazza Indipendenza, and tourists running for cover in a hailstone the size of a marble ball pelted at the cobblestones. Thunder rumbled between the ancient walls, creating the entire soundtrack of the city landmark. Public transport came to the up with the parts of the metro and tram network suspended due to flooded floods and Fiumicino, Candia airports were temporarily delayed as the crew cleared ice from the runways. Local authority brought in the clear crews through the night, while working around the clock to restore safety, said Major Roberto Gianni, urged residents to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. Although no casualties were reported, at least 6 people suffered minor injury from the fallen debris in hailstones. Insurance companies estimated that the damage in millions of euros, especially to vehicles and businesses with the open space. Meteorologists say the storm dumped over the 8 mm of rain in just 1 hour, nearly half of rain average monthly rainfall. Experts link the event of growing instability of the Mediterranean climate. Falling the water, sea temperatures, ice sheets, storms are becoming more frequent and more destructive, said Dr. Erin Toferi, a climatologist of the University of Bologna. Video shared online showed massive hailstorm pelting the streets while the residents sheltered the cafes and metro station. In the suburbs, strong winds on the roof from buildings and left thousands without electricity. Major Roberto Giuliani was called to the emergency assessment, warning that the Rome outdated drainage system can no longer handle such tropical style weather patterns. The storm here reigned debates about the Italy preparedness for the climate extremes. As one resident wrote on social media, Rome is drawing not from the history but from the neglect.
Grandina tutto, nebbia d'acqua, non si capisce niente. Andiamo.
A wave of intense hailstorm swept across Europe, leaving behind broken roofs, destroyed groups and devastation communities from Italy to Germany, France and Poland. Meteorologists described the event as one of the strongest hailstorms in the recent year, caused the collisions of cold southern air and a fast-moving cold front that swept across the continent. In Italy, especially the areas around the Rome and Emilia-Romagna, the storm was accompanied by thunderstorm winds and hailstones the size of walnuts, which pelted cars and roofs and a thunderstorm roar. In a matter of seconds, it was winter, said local resident Luca De Santis. The streets turned white, we could hardly see anything. Several motorists were stranded off ice-blocked drainage system, flooded tunnels and city roads. Further north in Bavaria, Germany, the storm caused chaos in communities near the Munich and Augsburg. Cars were damaged, routes were uprooted and public transport was halted. Local authorities received more than 1,200 emergency calls in a few hours. On Tuesday evening, a powerful thunderstorm swept across Rome, Italy, bringing torrential rain, stormy winds and lightning and plunging the capital into chaos. In a matter of minutes, the calm late summer sky turned stormy and torrential rain pouring down the historic streets caused sudden flooding, traffic paralyzing and widespread power outage. Widespread described the storm as apocalyptic. Cars were stuck on flooded streets around the Villa Appia and Piazza Veneto. The several metro lines were forced to close due to flooding. I saw manhole covers being blown by the pre-show, said Giulia De Santis, owner of shop near Tyrrhenian Station. The water flooded the shops faster than could back the door. Villa de Funco de Italia Fire and the Rescue Service reported more than 400 emergency calls across the capital. Trees were uprooted, debris littered major roads and parts of roofs were blown by the strong gusts of winds. In the Tresville, firefighters rescued severe residents who were trapped to their cars and the weather rose to dangerous levels. Rome, Italy. Rome was thrown into chaos as a sudden violent hailstorm struck at the city, transforming its cobblestone streets into rivers of ice and leaving a scene of destruction and astonishment. The storm arrived without warning late in the afternoon, bringing hailstones the size of large coins, thunder, lightning and torrential rain. Meteorologists from Italy's National Meteorological Agency described the phenomenon as one of the most intense collective storms to hit the Lazio region in recent years. Senior meteorologist Dr. Elena Moretti stated, the combination of extreme heat and the sudden cold front triggered explosive atmospheric instability. Within the minutes, the sky darkened, and a hail pounded the city with a different force. Vehicles were damaged, windshields shattered, and roofs became impossible under a layer of ice. Fire departments received over 1,400 emergency calls, responded to rescue trapped drivers and pump out water from subway station and underground parking garage. Rome Civil Protection Agency urged residents to stay indoors and flash flood hits at the San Giovanni transfer rail. The Spanish Meteorological Service has declared a red alert for the eastern parts of the Valencia region due to heavy rain. Thursday, a repeat of the flooding that killed 235 people in the area last October. Spanish National Meteorological Service warned of extreme danger and a very difficult situation in Tarragona, Castilian and Valencia on a Sunday and Monday. On this warning was echoed Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Citing of meteorological warning, Sanchez urged citizens to follow the instruction of the emergency service to all times. Local official announced that school and college libraries and parks as well as public spaces including gardens, markets and cemeteries would be closed in the Valencia on a Monday. Overnight rains caused local flooding and overflowing of Arroyo Aldea, one of the towns hardest hit by October 2024 flooded that killed more than 213 people. No casualties have been reported. On a Sunday afternoon, residents of the city received a red weather alert on this phone. The flooding caused by heavy rains in October last year were exacerbated by the effect of climate change. As a warning atmosphere holds more water, climate change increasing the risk and intensity of the flood from extreme rainfall. Local residents stretched to a series of protests against for the believed this mismanagement of last year's crisis calamity. The regional offices did not warn in the time, despite the fact that meteorological service had issued warning. Rome, Italy. A powerful and sudden hailstorm brought the Italian capital to the standstill, transforming the historic streets into frozen torrential and living residents in shock. Within minutes, dark clouds gathered over the eternal city, unleashed the violent downpour of ice that covered cars, monuments, and pigeons under the thick layer of white. Meteorologists described the event of extreme collective cell, an unusual atmospheric clash between warm Mediterranean humidity and a cold Arctic front. Hailstones, some exceeded 3 centimeters in diameter, pounded rooftops and vehicles. Standing off alarm across the city, wind gusts reached nearly 100 km/h, intensified the destruction, uprooted trees and scattered debris along the Tiber River. Emergency service received over 120 calls. In 2 hours, dozens of vehicles were abandoned the submerged streets, and firefighters worked tirelessly to free people trapped in the underpass. Several metro lines and bus roads were suspended due to flooding and power outage. It looked like a scene from the disaster movie, said resident Jill Lombardi. In a few minutes, day turned into night, and the streets became a river in the ice.
Assassini! Delinquenti sono! Delinquenti sono! Sono dei delinquenti! A muoversi questo tempo! Delinquenti!
Rome, a city more accustomed to the golden sun, said that the ice storm was hit by an unusual hailstorm that covered its streets and the thick layer of ice. The sudden downpour, which lasted then an hour, brought daily life to the southern health, forced residents and tourists to try and understand the extent of the damage. Meteorologists' incidents confirmed the hailstorm was caused by the collisions of warm Mediterranean air masses with a sharp cold front from the northern Europe. Strong updrafts formed hailstones the size of a golf ball, which damaged roofs, smashed shop windows, and left cars covered in them. It caused chaos and transformation. Several metro stations were forced to close due to flooding, and major roads turned into rivers and melted slush. Emergency service reported rescued dozens of people trapped in their cars, while firefighters rushed to clear a fallen bridge and restore blocked drainage system. In 30 years of service, I have never seen a Rome suffer so much from ice, said a fire brigade representative. Hospitals across the capital treated dozens of people who were injured after slipper of ice sidewalks. Tourists visited landmarks such as Piazza Indipendenza and Spanish Steps, described surreal scene. We thought it was snowing, but the hail became so heavy that it hurt, recalled Anna, a tourist from Germany. Rome was hit by a sudden and violent hailstorm, which turned in the historic streets and Italian capital into the city rivers and caused significant disruption to normal life in the city. The storm, which hit late in the evening, blanketed the city with a hailstorm the size of walnuts, breaking windows, damaged cars, and injured dozens of residents and tourists. Within minutes, cobbled streets and famous squares were covered with a white blanket, created stains, more reminiscent of winter and autumn. Severe quickly overlapped caused flash flood that swept through the central area, including Trastevere and Prati. Cars were stuck in ice-city water and abysses, and trams stopped while emergency service dealt with the debris. Rome Florence Airport reported delays after runway were temporarily covered in hail and lighting forces ground staff and suspended operations. Train service ended from Tyrrhenian station was also severely disrupted, leaving hundreds of passengers stranded overnight. Hospitals treated dozens of people and injured from the fallen branches slapping on the sky streets and broken glass. It was terrible, said Lucia Bianchi, a local resident. The hailstones were so long and sounding like bullets hitting the window. Video posted online showed streams of hail falling down the Spanish states and a fountain overflowing throughout the city. The storms also left a mark on agriculture, vineyard and olive groves around the Lazio, suffered significant damage, with the farmers reported crops losing just weeks before harvest. "For us, it is a disaster," said Marco Rossi, a farmer near Frascati. "Months of work were destroyed in half an hour." Meteorologists said the storm was caused a collision between most Mediterranean air and a cold front moving south, conditions increasingly associated with a climate instability. Experts warning that the Rome, like many southern Europe cities, is becoming increasingly vulnerable to sudden extreme weather events. A severe storm hit Sicily, Italy, caused heavy rain, strong winds and widespread flooding in several cities including Palermo and Catania. The extreme weather events, which struck without warning, turned streets into rivers, disrupted transportation and left thousands of residents without electricity and with damaged property. Local authority issued several weather warnings on the island who received rainfall significantly above the seasonal average. Videos show a dramatic scene where, posted on social media, cars submerged into water, people waist deep water in the floodwaters, and emergency service trying to reach stranded cities. Meteorologists report that the storm deployed rapidly over the Mediterranean Sea under the influence of low pressure system combined into high sea surface temperature, and a phenomenon that is becoming increasingly common due to climate change. Several metro stations were forced to close after water cascaded down, stairways were portioned off, rail line was suspended. At least 14 flights were delayed or diverted on Charles de Gaulle and Orly airports, and again about 114 km on our battery runway. The 11 tower safety lights temporarily shut down due to the electrical surge in the 17th around this section of scaffolding for the nearby structure, cities collapsing on the streets. Miraculously, no fatalities were reported. 35 people were injured, including 2 firefighters. Paris Major Ana Hidalgo called on an emergency meeting early Wednesday, urging calm to promises with restoration efforts. "Our infrastructure, who pushed to the limits," she said. These events once again demonstrated the urgent need to climate adaptation in urban areas. Meteorologists described the storm as one of the most intense connective systems in decades, caused by the collisions in a humid Mediterranean air with a cold front swept in the Atlantic. This class generation a supercell system production extreme lighting activity to flash flooding across central France. Across social media, dramatic footage showed hail blanket sidewalks like a snow, bases standing in rising water, and a lighting bolt taken near the Egg terminal. In dramatic turn of events, Sicily finds itself if those in unprecedented storm is nature unleashed any fury upon the picturesque Italian island. We burst of the exclusive coverage and mythological spectacle deletion the impact of communities, infrastructure and the environment. As the storm approached Sicily, among the clouds gathering killing the tempest to unparalleled proportions. Coastal area forced to onslaught the fierce winds and torrential rains, leading to widespread flooding in challenging conditions to both residents to emergency service. service. Our on-the-ground reported paint a vivid picture to havoc wreaked by the storm. The city of Palermo was transformed into rivers and water levels served submerged cars and tested to resilience to floodedness. The historic architecture withstood the test time to the faces of relentless onslaught of the wind of rain. Throughout the island communities are grappling with the power outage and the storm force causing significant damage to electrical infrastructure. Emergency shelters have been opened to provide refuge to those displaced by the storm.
Allah! Allah! Allah yardım et! Allah!
The Italian capital Rome has been stained after a sudden and violent hailstorm swept through the city, pelting streets, monuments, and neighborhoods with the eyes of the sky of Ghost Ball. The storm struck with a little warning, turning summer strikes into a dramatic clash of thunder and lightning before unleashing torrents. The rain mixed with hail. When the minutes rolled, turned it wild, resembling winter snow rather than a September evening. I felt like the sky was exploding, said Marco Bianchi, a taxi driver whose car window was shattering. I lived here all life and never seen Rome like this. Dozens of people were threatened to injure, many from fly glass and fallen debris. Hospital reported cases to shock and debris and brushes, where several children were taken with a head injury caused by the hailstorm. Emergency service received across the city responded to collapsing shops, canopies, damaged vehicles and flooded underpasses. Tourists were cut off guard in a historic era. Visitors ran to shelter inside the Colosseum and St. Peter Basilica and hailstorm battered courtyard and pieces. Social media quickly filmed with the several images of the Trevi fountain surrounded by the sky, with the local describe it into a scene from another world. Transport was now into disarray. Rome's metro facing delay after water seeped into tunnels, with the traffic jams scattered into kilometers and the driver abandoned damaged car. Agriculture outside the city was also hit. The vineyard in Lazio suffered severe damage and the entire crews destroyed just a week before harvest, raising fears of million losers to the local farmers. Meteorologists explained the storm was fueling the unusually warm Mediterranean air classes the colder north front, creating the perfect conditions to the Cape formations. Experts warning that climate change is making such extreme events more frequent even in the region accustomed to them. The land were deepened on the Catfield destroyed it. Power outage left more than 400,000 homes in the dark. A rail service was suspended and Palermo airport was severely disrupted. Businesses and county millions as losers, with tourism, agriculture and fishing particularly hard hit. City famous citrus groves, olive trees and vineyards were flooded, raising fears to flood and shortage. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni declared the flooding a national emergency, promising immediate funding to military support. We stand with the Sicily, she said. European Union officials also pledged to assist with the barriers linking to the disaster and urgent need to action on climate change. Experts warn that climate change is intensifying on severe Mediterranean storms, and warning seas are contributing to more intense rainfall. Dr. Rilene Rossi, a climatologist, said, "What we are seeing in Sicily, a venial future is urgent action to take no taking." As the water began to resent, thousands of people forced to painful task to rebuilding, standing outside her destroyed homes in Palermo. Surveyor Lucia Ferraro said with the tears in her eyes, "The Sicilian are strong, but the storm was broken our heart." Sicily has always faced extreme weather conditions, say climatologist Lucia Ferraro, but the scale of intensity of this phenomenon is unprecedented. The sea surface temperature is at 3 Celsius above average and they contributed to strongest storm. The Italian Red Cross has launched a campaign to collect food, clothing and foods. Donations are accepted online in location collection center. Despite the destruction have also been stories by heroism. In Palermo, a police officer warning through the flood waters and rescue an elderly couple trapped in the flooded car. We couldn't leave them there. The water was rising fast, he said. As cleanup beginning to Sicily starts to recover, officials warn the crisis far from over. Weather warning reminding police and another storm front cold in southern Italy by the weekend.
Oddio, non ci credo. Oddio. Qua. La moto. La macchina.
Southern Germany has been hit by relating after a violent hailstorm by Bavaria, shattered with windows, damaged rooftops, and leaving residents standing by the scale of destruction. The storm swept across the region with a little warning, unleashing hailstones the large of a tennis ball. Streets in Munich, Augsburg, and surrounding towns were carpeted in ice, with the cars were left dented with white shifts smashed. It was like gunfire from the sky, said Klaus Richter, a resident of Augsburg. A hospital treated dozens of people to their cars burst and hit injuries. Children and elderly were most affected, with the emergency responded rushing to provide shelter in a school and a sports hall in the rural area. The storm was equally devastated. Groups of borzoi, maize, and a vineyard across Bavaria were pumped, with the farmers reported losses that could total tens of millions of euros. Transport ground to the Kiel, trains were delayed, the stock were blocked, fallen branches to the breeze were fighter for Munich airport were disrupted due to damaged aircraft and poor visibility. Highway torn hazards with a multiple accident caused the slippery and ice-covered roads. Tourists were also cut off in the chaos. Visitors to Neuschwanstein Castle and Bavaria, farmers Alpine village showed a dramatic image for the hail building up for the snowdrifts, with local accompanying the summer storm to the winter blizzards. Meteorologists explained that the hailstorm was triggered by unstoppable air masses, colliding the southern Germany, intensified by record summer heat. Climate experts warn the extreme hail events are becoming more frequent across the Europe, pressing homes, agriculture, and infrastructure under increasing threat. As the sun rose over the devastation streets, scenes of resilience began to emerge. Volunteers from neighboring towns arrived the shovels, pumps, and food supplies. In Catania University, standard formed human chain to help clear debris to home of elderly residents. Church bells rang in solidarity of many communities, helped nightly prayers to injure and displaced. One image of wet Sicily flag flying proudly over the flood town hall became a national symbol of strength. Local media called at Rome and declared a state of emergency to obtain additional funds in the rescue to rapid reconstruction. Engineers are now installing bridges and roads, health workers to warn into possible communication flow to overflows, seen and standing water. Meteorologists at Via Italia say a storm system may be weakening the residual rains and extended to continue for several more days. The ground is standing with the water. Warming climatologist Dr. Lucia Ferraro even tell additional rainfall could cause new floods and landslides. Environmental activists are calling this storm a wake-up call. This is not just a random error, said Lucia Mourning of Climate Italia. This is the result of decades of neglecting environmental policy of urban planning. We must change now. International support has begun to arrive at the form of offer assistance from the European Union of neighboring countries. Italian celebrities, soccer players, and Pope have been experiencing this solidarity. The storm also suffered the European transport network. Rail service hit in Germany and France suffered severe disruption, while airport in Milan, Brussels and Prague experienced significant delay. Trucks were banned from the driving in some area Italy due to dangerous crosswinds. Meteorologists warn that climate change may be felt to intensify of this storm. We are seeing more frequent and violent weather events across Europe, said Dr. Hans Keller, a climate scientist in Berlin. European leaders pledged to carry off rapid relief force. France deployed military engineers to clear blocked roads, while Germany announced emergency funds to support reconstruction effort. EU officials stressed to need a continental cooperation to deal with the climate-related disaster. For millions of people across Europe, this storm was not just a night to extreme weather, but another stark reminder of the continent's growing vulnerability to the fury of nature.